Lyra looked at the map, her heart racing. And what about their defenses? We must be cautious. From our scouting reports, we believe their defenses are weakened after our last engagement. They will not expect us to attack again so soon, Tarek assured her. With determination in her voice, Lyra made her decision. Then we will strike at dawn, gather the troops, and prepare for war. As the sun rose over Zephyria, the fleet readied itself for the next battle. Lyra felt the familiar thrill of adrenaline mixed with dread. The reality of what lay ahead settled on her like a heavy cloak. As the ships launched into the cold expanse of space, she stood at the helm of the Starlight, her heart pounding in rhythm with the ship's engines. This time, she would lead her people into battle, seeking to end the cycle of betrayal and destruction. As they approached the coordinates, Lyra felt a surge of determination. This was not just about revenge for her people, it was about ensuring their survival. Prepare for engagement, she called, her voice strong. The crew rallied around her, ready to face whatever awaited them. The price of revenge. The aftermath of the fierce battle left the void of space littered with the remnants of destroyed ships. The Starlight floated amidst the wreckage, its hull scared but still functional. Princess Lyra stood on the command deck, her heart heavy with the cost of victory. They had won the day, but at a terrible price. As the crew assessed their losses, the atmosphere on the ship shifted from one of triumph to somber reflection. Lyra gazed out at the wreckage of both their ships and the Earth vessels that had been obliterated. She felt the weight of their fallen comrades pressing down on her shoulders. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. Tarek turned from his console, his expression grave. "We lost 3 ships and over 100 warriors today. The humans took heavy losses as well, but we can't celebrate this victory. We need to regroup and heal." Lyra nodded, fighting back tears. "We must honor them. They'd fought bravely, and their sacrifices will not be forgotten." The crew fell silent, each member lost in their thoughts. For Lyra, the victory felt bittersweet. She had set out to avenge the betrayal of her kind, but the realities of war had shown her the true cost. As they continued to drift through space, a signal came through. An emergency transmission from the surviving ships reached the Starlight. "Princess Lyra, we are regrouping at the designated coordinates. We need to evaluate our next steps and care for the wounded," a voice crackled over the comms. Lyra took a deep breath, feeling the weight of leadership pressing down on her. "Understood. We'll head to the rendezvous point and assess our situation, gather the remaining fleet, and prepare for a full status update." As the Starlight changed course, Lyra's mind raced with thoughts of what lay ahead. The humans would not take this defeat lightly. They would retaliate, and Lyra knew they needed a plan to counter any further attacks. When they arrived at the rendezvous point, the remaining ships floated together like a wounded animal regrouping after a fight. Lyra stepped onto the bridge, and the crew gathered around. "Thank you for your bravery in battle," she began, her voice filled with resolve. "But we cannot lose sight of our mission. We have faced the humans and survived, but they will be coming for us. We must prepare for their next move." Tarek spoke up, his eyes fierce. "We need to strike first. We can't let them regroup and strengthen their defenses. We must find their base and take it out before they can mount another attack." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, and Lyra nodded. "We will gather intelligence on their next moves. I want teams deployed to scout their remaining forces and to find their base of operations. We cannot allow ourselves to be caught off guard again." The crew dispersed, driven by the shared goal of revenge. As Lyra walked back to her quarters, her heart felt heavy. She was torn between the desire for vengeance and the understanding that more violence would only lead to more loss. That night, Lyra could not sleep. Images of the battle played in her mind, the flashes of explosions, the cries of warriors, and the faces of her fallen comrades haunted her. She knew they had struck a blow against the humans, but at what cost? The following day, She gathered with her generals to analyze the intelligence reports. They had gathered information on Earth's defenses, revealing weaknesses that could be exploited. Tarek spread a holographic map across the table, highlighting key locations. Here, in the southern hemisphere, is where their remaining forces are concentrated. If we strike there, we can take them by surprise. As they closed in on their target, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking a fine line between victory and devastation. But for Lyra, the fight for justice was worth the risk. With her people by her side, she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The battle for their future had only just begun. "Focus fire on that ship," she ordered, pointing at a massive Earth vessel that loomed ahead. The crew acknowledged her command, and their weapons fired in unison. Striking true, the enemy ship shuddered, smoke billowing from its hull. The battle raged on, with both sides taking heavy losses. But Lyra could see their forces beginning to prevail. The determination of her warriors shone through, fueled by their shared purpose. "Keep pushing forward," she shouted, rallying her crew. "We can't let up now." Just then, a bright flash caught her eye. A colossal explosion erupted nearby, sending debris flying through space. Lyra's heart dropped as she realized it was one of their allied ships. "No," she cried, anguish flooding her heart. She had known that casualties would come, but witnessing the destruction firsthand was devastating. "Commander, we must continue," Tarek urged, gripping the controls tightly. "We can't afford to lose focus." Lyra steeled herself, taking a deep breath to regain her composure. "You're right. We must honor our fallen by ensuring their sacrifices were not in vain." As they pressed on, the tide of the battle began to turn in their favor. Earth's ships, though formidable, started to falter against the unity and resolve of Lyra's fleet. The warriors fought with everything they had, driven by the desire for justice and vengeance. Suddenly, an urgent voice crackled over the comms. "Princess Lyra, we have incoming ships from the left flank." Lyra's heart raced as she turned to the display. A new wave of Earth ships was barreling toward them, ready to flank their forces. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers," she ordered, her mind racing to devise a plan. "Split the fleet. We need to engage them before they surround us." The crew followed her commands, their movements fluid and quick. The ships divided into two groups, launching themselves toward the incoming threat. As the battle intensified, Lyra felt adrenaline coursing through her veins. This was a fight for survival, and she would do everything in her power to protect her people. The chaos of battle raged on around her, but amidst the turmoil, one thought remained clear: they would not give up. Together, they would face the storm, and they would fight for their freedom, no matter the cost. With the plan in place, Lyra felt a sense of urgency. There was no turning back now. As she settled down for the night, she tried to find comfort in the knowledge that they were standing together against a common enemy. The stars outside continued to shine brightly, but Lyra knew that the dawn would bring a different kind of light, one filled with danger and uncertainty. The fate of their worlds rested on their shoulders, and she was determined to lead her people into battle with courage. As sleep eluded her, Lyra reminded herself of their purpose. They were not just fighting for themselves. They were fighting for the freedom of all planets that had suffered under human greed. Together, they would show the galaxy that they would not be silenced. The next day, as the first light of dawn broke over Zephyria, Princess Lyra stood on the balcony of her palace, looking out at the gathering fleet of ships. The time had come. The alliance was ready, and together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. With one last glance at the stars, Lyra turned and walked back inside. The calm before the storm was over. Now, it was time for battle. The battle begins. The dawn arrived, casting a golden hue over the fleet gathered in Zephyria's harbor. Ships of all shapes and sizes, each representing different planets, floated in perfect formation. The atmosphere buzzed with tension and anticipation as warriors prepared for the most significant battle of their lives. Princess Lyra stood on the command deck of the flagship. the starlight, surrounded by her trusted generals. The holographic display illuminated their faces, showing the trajectory of their course toward Earth. The tension in the room was palpable as they reviewed their final strategy. "Remember, we are not just fighting for our planets, we are fighting for our freedom," Lyra reminded her troops, her voice echoing in the vast chamber. "We will show the humans that we are united, and we will not be conquered." Her speech ignited a fire in her warriors. They nodded in agreement, determination etched on their faces. With a deep breath, Lyra signaled for the fleet to prepare for departure. As the ships took off, the landscape of Zephyria slowly disappeared behind them, replaced by the vastness of space. The stars twinkled brightly, a reminder of all that was at stake. Lyra gazed out at the expanse, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. This was it, the moment they had been training for. The fleet cruised through the darkness, engines humming steadily. As they neared Earth, Lyra instructed her pilots to maintain stealth, cloaking their ships to avoid detection. They could not afford to be spotted too soon. "Commence our approach," she commanded, her heart pounding in her chest. "Keep a close eye on the sensors. We need to be ready for any surprises." As they closed in on Earth's atmosphere, the tension escalated. The vast blue planet loomed before them, a sight of beauty intertwined with a sense of dread. It was a world that had betrayed them, and now they were here to reclaim their honor. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the starlight. The sensors detected a surge of activity in Earth's defense systems. Lyra's heart sank. They were onto them. "Battle stations," she shouted. The crew sprang into action, rushing to their posts as the ship prepared for combat. Within moments, Earth's ships emerged from the atmosphere, their sleek forms glinting in the sunlight. The humans had been expecting them. "Prepare for engagement," Tarek barked, taking his place at the weapons console. "We will show them the might of our united forces." Lyra took a deep breath, focusing her mind. She felt the weight of her people's hopes resting on her shoulders. "We can do this," she whispered to herself. "We will not back down." As the first shots were fired, the sky erupted into chaos. Lasers and projectiles lit up the darkness as both sides clashed. The air crackled with energy, and the sounds of battle roared around them. Lyra watched intently as their ships engaged the enemy. The warriors fought valiantly, using their advanced technology and tactics to gain the upper hand. The unity of their forces shone bright against the backdrop of destruction. In the thick of the battle, Lyra's heart raced. She commanded her ship with precision, weaving through enemy fire and coordinating attacks. The crew moved with seamless efficiency, proving their training had prepared them well. Lyra took a deep breath, feeling the pressure of the moment. "We need to act quickly. Time is not on our side." With determination, Neera set off to gather more allies. Meanwhile, Lyra began to prepare for the next step. If they were going to face Earth, they needed to display their might and unity. She decided to host a grand summit, inviting not just allies, but neutral planets as well. The summit would serve two purposes: to strengthen existing alliances and to show the strength of Zephyria to those who were undecided. Lyra believed that if they could impress the neutral planets, they might be swayed to their side. The preparations for the summit were monumental. Lyra worked closely with Tarek and Orion to ensure everything was perfect. They sent invitations across the galaxy, detailing the time and place of the gathering. Finally, the day of the summit arrived. The palace was adorned with flags and flowers, creating a festive yet serious atmosphere. Representatives from various planets began to arrive, each bringing their own culture and traditions. Lyra felt a sense of pride as she greeted each guest, offering them warm welcomes and hospitality. As the summit began, Lyra stood before the assembled crowd. The grand hall was filled with dignitaries, warriors, and leaders, all there to witness what Zephyria had to offer. "Welcome, honored guests." Lyra began, her voice echoing through the hall. "Today, we gather not just as representatives of our worlds, but as allies in the face of a common threat. Humanity has shown us their true colors, and it is time we unite against them. The crowd murmured in agreement, their eyes fixed on Lyra. She continued, "Together, we can forge a powerful alliance that will not only defend our homes, but also protect the galaxy from further human aggression." General Tarek stepped forward to present their military strength. "Our warriors have trained tirelessly. We have ships ready for battle, and soldiers willing to fight for our shared future." He gestured to a display of ships outside the palace, showcasing their impressive technology and readiness for combat. As he spoke, representatives exchanged glances, clearly impressed by the display. Lyra could feel their interest growing. She knew this was their chance to secure the alliances they needed. After Tarek, Orion shared details about their strategies and the intelligence they had gathered regarding Earth's military capabilities. He presented the evidence of human attacks on various planets, detailing how they had spread chaos across the galaxy. "Together, we can stop this madness," Orion said, his voice passionate. "Let us not wait for Earth to come for us. Let us act now." One by one, the representatives began to voice their support. Planetary leaders stood up, declaring their intentions to join Zephyria. The hall filled with applause and cheers as the excitement grew. As the summit progressed, a representative from Cylon stood to speak. His name was Roren, a tall, imposing figure known for his fierce pride. "Zephyria has shown strength today. I admire your determination, Princess Lyra. However, my people value their independence. We will not join you unless you prove your strength against Earth first." Lyra felt a pang of disappointment, but quickly composed herself. "I understand your concerns, Roran. We will show you our strength. We will fight against Earth, and when we do, I hope you will stand with us." The summit continued, with many more representatives voicing their support and forming agreements. Lyra felt a swell of hope as she watched the alliances grow. The fight against Earth was becoming more than just Zephyria's battle. It was now a coalition of planets determined to protect their homes. As the summit came to a close, Lyra stood with her generals, watching the representatives mingle and discuss their newfound alliances. The atmosphere was filled with optimism, but she knew the road ahead would not be easy. The next step was clear. They needed to prepare for battle and show Earth that their betrayal would not go unpunished. With their alliances forged, Lyra felt a renewed sense of purpose. She was ready to lead her people and their allies into the fight for their future. Together, they would prove to Earth that they were not to be underestimated. Together, they would show the galaxy the true strength of their united front. The battle for freedom and justice had just begun. "You said," Lyra thought for a moment, then had an idea. "A rallying event. Let's hold a gathering where our warriors can showcase their skills and prepare for the battle ahead. We can invite the emissaries to witness the strength of Zephyria." Tarek nodded, his eyes lighting up. "That's an excellent idea. It will boost morale and demonstrate our unity to our allies." Within days, preparations for the rally were underway. Lyra worked tirelessly, ensuring that everything was perfect. The palace grounds were decorated with vibrant banners, and the air buzzed with excitement. News of the event spread quickly, drawing crowds from across the planet. On the day of the rally, the sun rose brightly, casting a golden hue over the palace. As Lyra stood on a raised platform overlooking the crowd, she felt a surge of pride. The grounds were filled with soldiers, their faces a mix of determination and hope. Families had come to support their loved ones, filling the atmosphere with excitement. As the rally commenced, soldiers demonstrated their skills. They showcased aerial maneuvers, combat techniques, and strategic formations. Each performance was met with cheers and applause, fueling the warriors' spirits. Finally, it was Lyra's turn to address the crowd. She stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. "Warriors of Zephyria," she called out, her voice strong and clear. "Today we stand united. Today we show our enemies that we will not back down." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Lyra felt the energy surge around her. We will fight for our people, for our planet, and for our future. Together, we will face the threat that humanity poses. Together, we will reclaim our honor. As she spoke, she felt the crowd's energy envelop her. They were ready. Lyra could see the fire in their eyes, the determination to fight for what was right. But in the back of her mind, doubt lingered. Could they truly stand against Earth? Could they win this war? Lyra pushed those thoughts aside. They would face whatever came their way, together. The rally continued into the evening, filled with music, laughter, and camaraderie. The soldiers, their spirits lifted, celebrated their unity, vowing to protect each other and their planet. As night fell, Lyra looked out over the gathering. The time for war was approaching, and she felt a mixture of excitement and fear. But she knew one thing: she would not let her people down. They were ready to face the fight, and so was she. With renewed determination, Lyra prepared for the battles ahead. She would lead her people into war, and she would ensure that they emerged victorious. Together, they would show Earth the true strength of Zephyria. The Alliance Forge. The days following the rally were filled with intense activity. Princess Lyra and her generals worked tirelessly to strengthen their position against Earth. The atmosphere in Zephyria was electric. Soldiers trained hard. Families supported their warriors, and the spirit of unity grew stronger each day. Lyra felt the weight of leadership on her shoulders, but she also felt a flicker of hope. Lyra's first emissary, Commander Nera, returned from her visit to the neighboring planet of Volterra. As she entered the palace, her face was flushed with excitement. "Princess Lyra, I bring good news," she exclaimed. Lyra hurried to meet her. "What did they say? Will they join us?" Nera nodded vigorously. "Yes, the Volterians are ready to ally with us. They have suffered from human raids before and understand the threat Earth poses. They will send ships and warriors to support our cause." A cheer erupted from the gathered nobles and generals, but Lyra's thoughts were focused. What about the other planets? We need more allies to stand against Earth. "Next, I will head to the planet Cylon," Nera replied. "They are powerful but prideful. It may take more convincing, but I believe they will see reason if we show them our strength." The call to arms. In the days following her heart-wrenching betrayal, Princess Lyra poured all her pain and fury into preparing Zephyria for the war that loomed on the horizon. She convened with her generals and advisors, transforming her heartbreak into a fierce resolve to protect her people. The palace, once a place of laughter and love, now buzzed with the seriousness of impending battle. As she stood before her advisors in the grand war room, the atmosphere was charged with tension. The walls were lined with banners representing the noble houses of Zephyria, and the room was filled with maps of the planet and the surrounding galaxies. Lyra took a deep breath, her blue skin glistening under the soft glow of the crystal chandeliers. "We cannot allow Earth to think they can betray us without consequence," she declared, her voice firm and unwavering. "We must show them the strength of Zephyria." General Tarek, a battle-hardened warrior with a reputation for bravery, stepped forward. "Princess, we need to gather our forces and prepare for battle. The humans may not expect us to strike back so quickly." Lyra nodded, grateful for Tarek's support. "Yes, we must be swift and decisive, but we will not attack blindly. I want every strategy discussed, every plan laid out. We must ensure that our people are ready." As the generals began to discuss their tactics, Lyra's thoughts drifted to Alex. She remembered the laughter they shared, the way he held her hand under the stars. But those memories felt like a lifetime ago, replaced by the reality of his betrayal. If Alex truly loved her, how could he have turned his back on her people? "We will start by sending a message to Earth," Lyra said, bringing herself back to the meeting. "They need to understand that we will not sit idly by while they plot against us. I want a ship sent to deliver our terms. Cease all aggressive actions, or we will retaliate." Tarek raised an eyebrow. "A message? Isn't that too weak for a response? We should strike them before they even think of attacking again." Lyra held up a hand, feeling the weight of her decision. We must show strength, yes, but we must also be smart. If we attack without provocation, we risk losing the support of other planets. We need allies in this fight. The discussion continued for hours, with plans taking shape and strategies being debated. Lyra felt empowered by the urgency of the moment, knowing that she was no longer just a princess in love, but a leader ready to fight for her people. When the meeting finally concluded, Lyra dismissed everyone except for Tarek and Orion. I need you both to help me rally the troops. We must train them and prepare them for what is to come. This will not be easy. Orion nodded, his wisdom guiding him. I will send word to the other houses. They need to understand the gravity of the situation. We must unite if we are to face Earth. As Tarek and Orion left to begin their tasks, Lyra sat alone in the war room, staring at the map of Zephyria. Her heart raced with anticipation and fear. The path ahead was uncertain, but she felt a fire within her that she had never experienced before. Over the next few days, the palace transformed into a hub of activity. Soldiers trained in the courtyard, their energy palpable as they prepared for the battles to come. Lyra watched them, her heart swelling with pride. These were her people, her family, and she would do everything in her power to protect them. One evening, after a long day of training, Lyra took a moment to herself in the palace gardens. The vibrant flowers swayed gently in the breeze, reminding her of happier times. As she walked, she found a quiet spot beneath a large tree, its branches casting a comforting shade. She closed her eyes and thought of Alex again, feeling a familiar ache in her heart. But this time, she allowed her anger to wash over her. You will pay for your betrayal, she whispered to the wind. You will see what you have awakened. The following week, a message was finally sent to Earth, delivered by a swift Zephyrian ship. The crew, composed of skilled soldiers, was instructed to make their presence known. They would deliver Lyra's ultimatum: cease all aggression or face the wrath of the Zephyrian army. As days turned into weeks, the anticipation grew. Lyra's heart raced every time a ship appeared on the horizon. But each time, it was just a trade vessel or a scouting party. The tension was palpable, and Lyra could feel it in her bones. The betrayal. On a distant planet called Zephyria, the sun shone brightly over the lush green valleys and tall mountains. This was the home of Princess Lyra, a beautiful alien with shimmering blue skin and golden eyes that sparkled like stars. Lyra was beloved by her people, known for her kindness and bravery. However, there was one secret that weighed heavily on her heart. Lyra had fallen in love with a human named Alex. He was a diplomat sent from Earth to help forge a peaceful alliance between humans and Zephyrians. When Alex arrived on Zephyria, he was charming and full of hope. He listened to Lyra's dreams of a united future and spoke of Earth as a place filled with promise. They spent many evenings together, walking under the twin moons and sharing stories about their worlds. Lyra felt like she was in a fairy tale. But deep down, Alex had a hidden agenda. He was not just there to build bridges. He was sent to gather intelligence about Zephyria's defenses. His mission was to learn everything he could about the alien technology that made Zephyria strong. Lyra, lost in love, did not see the truth. She believed in their love story and thought that together they could create peace. One day, as they walked through the beautiful gardens of the palace, Lyra smiled at Alex. I wish we could always be together like this, she said, her heart full of hope. Alex looked at her, his expression suddenly serious. Lyra, there's something I need to tell you. His voice trembled slightly, and a chill ran down her spine. I wasn't sent here just for peace talks. I was sent to gather information. Lyra's heart sank. What do you mean? She felt a wave of confusion and fear wash over her. I was sent to learn about your technology, your defenses, your weapons, everything. Alex's voice was filled with regret, but it did not change the truth. Tears filled Lyra's eyes. How could you betray me like this? I trusted you. I thought you loved me. Her voice broke as she stepped back, feeling as if the ground had been pulled from beneath her. "I do love you," Alex said quickly, "but I had a duty. I thought I could find a way to help my people and yours. I never wanted to hurt you." Lyra shook her head, her heart shattered. "You don't understand. You've betrayed everything we talked about. Our dreams of peace are gone." Before Alex could respond, the alarms of the palace rang loudly. Zephyrian guards rushed in, ready to capture the human who had deceived their princess. Alex looked around in panic. "I didn't mean for this to happen. Please, Lyra, I need to escape." In that moment, Lyra felt a mixture of anger and sorrow. She loved him, but he had broken her trust. "You need to leave," she said coldly. "Go back to Earth. You're not welcome here anymore." "Lyra, please," he pleaded, desperation in his voice. But she turned away, her heart heavy with grief. As Alex fled into the night, Lyra stood frozen, watching him disappear into the shadows. The pain of betrayal crushed her spirit. She felt as if a part of her had died that day. Her dreams of love and unity crumbled like dust in the wind. The next days were a blur. Lyra locked herself in her chambers, refusing to see anyone. Her advisors and friends worried about her, but she felt too broken to face the world. The gardens that once felt magical now seemed empty and cold. The vibrant colors around her faded, and every flower reminded her of Alex. Finally, her trusted advisor, a wise old Zephyrian named Orion, came to her. "Princess, you must not let this betrayal destroy you. Your people need you now more than ever." Lyra looked at him, her golden eyes filled with pain. "How can I lead them when my heart is shattered? He lied to me. He used me." Orion sighed, his voice gentle. "Love can be a powerful weapon, but it can also bring pain. You have a choice now. You can either let this hurt consume you or turn it into strength." Slowly, Lyra began to understand. The betrayal was painful, but it did not have to be the end. Instead of letting it destroy her, she could use it to protect her people. Anger bubbled inside her, not just for Alex, but for the danger the humans posed to Zephyria. "Prepare the army," she commanded, her voice steady. "We will not let this betrayal go unpunished. Earth will pay for what they have done." Orion looked surprised but nodded. "As you wish, my princess. We will fight for our home." With determination in her heart, Lyra began to plan her next steps. The love she once had for Alex transformed into a fierce desire for justice. She would not let anyone hurt her people again. The journey from love to anger had begun, and she would do whatever it took to protect her world.